So, good day once again, ma'am. My name is BLESSY ATIS Ilajas from BSEE 1A, and this is my output or my explanation and how I derive my answers. Or since um, ang kaning problem set given is nana siya sa book, nana ang solution. So, ang ako lang is kung unsa akong pagsabot, unsa akong nasabtan, and giunsa siya pag-solve. So, lecture 5 in which topic is electrochemistry. So, problem set. Example 11.1 on page 498. Excuse me. Lang to 500. An alpha particle moving in a magnetic field. An alpha particle Q is equals to 3.2 times 10 raised to the negative 19th power C moves through a uniform magnetic field whose magnitude is 1.5 T. The field is directly parallel to the positive field whose magnitude whose the positive 2 z-axis of the rectangular coordinate system of figure 11.5. So dito sa book. So what is the magnetic force on the alpha particle when it is moving? A, in the positive x direction with a speed of 5.0 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second. B, what is the magnetic force in the alpha particle when it is moving in the magnetic y direction with a speed of 5.0 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second? And letter C, what is the magnetic force on the alpha particle when it is moving in the positive z direction with a speed of 5.0 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second? And letter D, what is the magnetic force on the alpha particle when it is moving with a velocity of v is equals to 20I minus 3j plus 1k times 10 excuse me, times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second. So, as you can see, no, so muna siya ang mga given sa problem set. So, ang alpha particle niya in which Q is equals to 3.10 raised to the negative 19th power C. So, kani siya, muna siya ang given. Then, ang B dayon in which is equals to 1.5 T. So, the SI unit for magnetic field strength B is called Tesla. So, ano siyang, T na siya. Tesla or T. Then, ang katuding uban nga given in which katong mga positive x direction, ang mga y direction sa speed, then z direction of the speed, and then the velocity. So, kanin siya. Dayon, let's proceed to the solution, no? So, we are given the charge sa velocity, the magnetic field strength, and direction. We can thus use the equation F is equals to QV times XB, or F equals to QVB sine angle to calculate the force. Direction force is determined RHR 1. So, let's start with letter A, no? So, ang letter A is what ang atong pangitaon is what is the magnetic force on the alpha particle when it is moving in the positive with a speed of 5.0 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second. So, first na to is ato siya i-determine the direction. So, start with your fingers pointing in the positive x direction. So, sweep your fingers upward in the direction magnetic field. Then, your thumb should point in the negative y direction. This should match the mathematical answer. So, para makalculate ang force, gamito na to ang given charge, velocity, and magnetic field. Then, katong definition sa magnetic force sa cross product form para makalculate ni siya. So, di ba ang given naman is is kanang kuan. So di ba mo na itong equation, so given naman ang mga kuan, alang mga variable, so ato lang siya i-substitute. So 3 ang q in alpha particle is equals to 3.2 times 10 raised to the negative 19 power c. Then ang velocity dayon niya, di ba, kaya atong gipangita sa a is speed niya, so ato lang siya ikuan 5.0 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second ay dayon. Ang iya dayong kuan kayang Tesla dayon is 1.5 t na kay sa ko ingon ganina. Then ikuan lang din simplify, in which we can derive this answer, negative 2.4 times 10 raised to the negative 14 power Newton J. So next, let's proceed to letter B. So same lang siya po, no, ang process. So i-determine na to directionally with your fingers. Ay same lang ang process, pero since ang letter B is kanang ato naman pangitaon kay ang negative y direction bitaw sa speed, so wala siya, is first ato siya i-determine directionally. So start sa atong finger pointing in the negative y direction, so sweep your fingers upward in the direction of magnetic field as the previous problem. So no, same sa letter A. Dayon your thumb, saba baging iro your thumb should be open in the negative x direction. This should match the mathematical answer. So to calculate the force, we use the given charge. So same lang siya po, velocity and magnetic field, and the definition of magnetic force in cross product to calculate. So same lang siya po, is ato siya i distribute, no, ang kuan niya is may given value, in which 3.2 times 10 raised to the negative 19 power c dayon. Then atong velocity kani, since ang kuan mata nag focus ta karon sa negative y direction, no, so negative man, so negative 5.0 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second J. Then ang ato ding Tesla is equals to 1.5 t. So same lang siya po ang process now. So ato siya i-simplify, then we can derive the answer, negative 2.4 times 10 raised to the negative 14 power Newton I. So muna siya ang negative y direction dayon. Saba baging iro oy. So an alternative approach is used to find the magnitude of the force. So this applies for both parts A and B, since the velocity is perpendicular to magnetic field. So the angle between 90 degrees, therefore the magnitude force is F is equals to QV Tesla sine angle is equals to 3 point kuan. So same lang siya po, i-kuan lang, distribute ang mga given values, no. So then kuan man para ma-alternative is kuan na to ang sine sine times 90 degrees ang angle niya dayon. Then simplify, in which is equals to 2.4 times 10 raised to negative 14 power Newton. So muna siya. So let's proceed to letter C. No? So since the velocity and magnetic field are parallel to each other, there is no orientation of your hand that will result in a force direction. Therefore, the force on this moving charge is 0. This is confirmed by the cross product. Sorry kayo sa saba. So when you across two vectors pointing in the same direction, the result is equal to 0. So muna siya ang kuan, muna siya ang kanang magnetic force on the alpha particle when it's moving in the positive z direction with a speed of 5.0 times 10 to the raised to the 4th power meter per second. So muna siya ang letter C. This is confirmed by the cross product. So when you cross when you cross the two vectors pointing in the same direction, the result is equal to 0. So equal to 0 siya. So let's proceed to letter D. So letter D is we need to find the magnetic force in the alpha particle when it is moving with the velocity of v is equals to 2.0 I minus 3 j plus 1 k times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second. So ano siya, same lang Japan no sa A, B and C. So first ato siya i-determine ang direction. So your fingers could point in any orientation, however you must sweep your fingers upward, so ato pataas in the direction of the magnetic field. So sa pag-rotate nimo sa imong kamot, kanang maka-notice ka nga ang imong thumb bitaw is kana maka-point ka sa any X or Y direction possible, but not in the Z direction. So dito siya sa Z direction. So this should match the mathematical answer. So to calculate the force, we use the given charge, velocity, and magnetic field, and the definition of magnetic force in cross product form to calculate. So as we can see no, so same lang Japan ang process. So we must use this equation kani siya. We must use this equation, and then so then iko lang dayon substitute ng mga given values. So muna siya ang Q, muna siya ang atong alpha particle, then atong velocity dayon no. So since mo man siya ang gipangita dire, so kani na dire na dayon then atong Tesla, which is 1.5 T. So then simplify dayon, then we can get this answer. So dayon no, so excuse me, so this solution can be written in the terms of magnitude and angle of xy plane. So kani siya the absolute value of f is equals to square root of f squared x plus f squared y. Then muna siya layon diba negative 14. Then kuha na din i-substitute ng mga values. Then ang pagkuanin is angle tangent, so katawa. So mas ay kanang gigamit na to ang tangent kay ang tangent is kanang opposite over adjacent. So mana siya dayon, then in which is equals to 34 degrees. So then sa V dayon, so kanang ang magnitude of force can also be calculated, the magnitude force can also be calculated no. So the velocity in this question however has three components. The Z component of the velocity can be neglected because kanang ang parallel sa magnetic field, then maka-generate siya sa walay force. Then ang magnitude of velocity is calculated from the x and y components. So ang angle between the velocity in the xy plane and the magnetic field in the z plane is 90 degrees. Excuse me. Ayun. So therefore the force is calculated to be kani siya velocity siya is equals to square root of 2 squared plus negative 3 squared times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second is equals to 3.6 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second. So then sa ako naman ganina is the magnitude velocity is calculated from x and y components. So na siya f is equals to qv Tesla sine angle is equals to 3.2 times 10 raised to the negative 14 power c. Dayon ang atong v in which 3.6 times 10 saba pagkairo sorry kasi saba. So 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second. Dayon ang atong B in which Tesla is 1.5 T or Tesla. Then ang atong ang atong angle is 90 degrees. So, then kung dayon simplify in which is equals to 1.7 times 10 raised to the negative 14 power Newton. So, this is the same magnitude force by calculated by the unit of vectors. So, kanang ang cross product in this formula result in the third vector must be perpendicular or to the other two. So, ang other physical quantities such as katong angular momentum also have three vectors that are related by the cross product. Note that kanang typical force values in magnetic force problems are much larger than gravitational force. So, mas dako ang magnetic force problems kaysa sa gravitational force. Dayon, therefore, for an isolated charge, the magnetic force is dominant force governing the charge motion. So, muna siya ang kuan. So, to summarize, no? So, muna siya ang kanang magnetic force in the alpha particle when kanang positive x direction with the speed kanang siya. Then muna din siya ang negative y direction with negative y direction of the alpha particle, magnetic force of the alpha particle. Dayon ang sa kuan dayon sa letter C in which the magnetic force on the alpha particle which is moving in the positive z direction with a speed of 5.0 times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second, no? So, anang kuan lang siya, the result is equal to 0. Then, lastly, ang sa letter D, in which the magnetic force on the alpha particle when it is moving with a velocity of v is equals to 2.0 I minus 3.0 j plus 1 k times 10 raised to the 4th power meter per second, in which baon siya 1.7 times 10 raised to the negative 14 power Newton. So that would be all. Thank you, and to God be all the glory.